Hey everyone, I'm Brian Easterday and welcome back to Eye of the Storm Astrology. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about mortality and immortality, how we are both experiencing different incarnations through different bodies, as well as being a immortal or eternal atma, an eternal soul that never dies. So what kind of got me on the subject is that I was going through the Gita again, the Bhagavad Gita, and doing some more study. And in chapter 2, in the 11th verse, Krishna says, he's speaking and to set this up for those of you who aren't familiar, the Bhagavad Gita is an epic that is, in short, it's kind of like a summary of Vedic philosophy, of the Vedas, they try to reduce them all down into like a story that would cover the essentials of Vedic philosophy and thought, and how our reality is constructed and works. So in this story, there is Arjuna, who is a warrior and a prince, and Krishna, who is the incarnation of Vishnu, but he is, in this incarnation, he's playing the role of Arjuna's chariot driver. And they're on a battlefield, and on both sides of the battlefield, Arjuna sees his family and friends arrayed against each other, ready to kill each other. And he kind of starts breaking down, weeping, saying that, like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do because I don't want to kill these people that I care about, and, so on and so forth. And Krishna says something very interesting here. He says, you use the words wise men use, but do you really comprehend them? I doubt it. Because you are crippled by your emotions, and that never happens to the truly wise. Nothing in life or death causes the wise to break down as you have. Very interesting, right? I really like that. He says, you use the words wise men use, but do you really comprehend them? I doubt it. Because Arjuna was speaking about karma and dharma and, all of these different concepts. And how many people speak about these things, but don't really understand what they're talking about? Like, do you really comprehend them? I doubt it. That's what Krishna says. He says, how do I know that? Essentially, because you were crippled by your emotions, and that never happens to the truly wise. In other words, those who understand this information are never truly crippled by their emotions. They're not having breakdowns over every little thing, or having to spend days processing something, or that's not, if that's where you are in your development, it just means that you haven't truly understood the essence of the Vedas, that you are still allowing your emotions to control you versus you controlling your emotions. Now, a lot of people, especially in the New Age movement, you see this push for, the acknowledgement of emotions and things like that. And we should acknowledge our emotions. We should feel them. That is very different from being crippled or controlled by them. So take note of that. So in thinking about all these different things that are in this verse, because there's a lot in here, I was thinking about, Krishna saying nothing in life and death causes the wise to break down as you have. Because what he's explaining to Arjuna in this chapter is that everything is eternal. That death of this vessel, of this body, is merely just a transition. It's merely just a change, and everything always changes. That is the essence of existence. So to see that something is changing, which is just performing the essence of existence, why would that make you weep? It doesn't make sense, right? So then I started thinking about, I was like, well, why is it that we as individuals, from our limited perspective, experience death and reincarnation, but we're also an immortal atma, an immortal soul? And in thinking about this, I got the image of a sunrise and a sunset. And I was like, well, that's really interesting. Like the sunrise being like our birth, the sunset being like our death. But the thing about a sunrise and sunset is we only see those from our limited perspective here on Earth. In fact, depending on what side of the world you are, one may appear as sunset and others could appear as sunrise, right? So it's based off of our perspective of where we are as an individual. So that's interesting. So we can see that as an individual Atma, an individuation of consciousness, from our limited perspective is that we can see the appearance of a sunrise and a sunset, a birth and a death, with obviously that cycle repeating, hence reincarnation. But if we were to step back and to look at it from a wider or larger perspective, we would see that the sun never really rises or sets. It's always there. It's eternal. This is the soul. This is something you have to understand too in Vedic philosophy and generally in pagan or animist traditions and across the world. The sun is a representation or a symbol of the soul. It's the thing that gives life. So when we see that the sun never really sets, it never really rises, it's always there, we can see that we're the same way. We're an Atma, that we never really set. We never really die. We just transform. We just go through different phases. And those phases are determined based off of our individual experience as an Atma, as an individuation of consciousness, as a soul. And then from that perspective, we experience the sunrise and sunset, the birth and the death. So I thought that was something really interesting, that by observing these and seeing both perspectives, you can see both truths and how they simultaneously exist. So this is the reason why we can experience both death and rebirth, as well as recognizing that we're also eternal, we're immortal. And this is an interesting thing here too, to note that one of the most fascinating things I find about like any animist or pagan philosophy is simply by observing nature, you can learn very beautiful lessons. That's all I was doing here. I read a chapter in the book, or read a verse in the book, was thinking about it, contemplating on it, and then nature and an image of nature showed up in my head to be able to reveal this lesson to me. This is the thing, as you start tuning into everything, as you start focusing on Krishna, on Vishnu, you start seeing the same thing in everything. So by seeing one thing, you can use that to learn about something else. And that's a very useful mindset and way to go about approaching life, because then it means everything becomes a lesson and a tool for your development. So that's going to wrap this one up, guys. If you found it valuable, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell too, because I don't want you to be missing out on any content that could be helping you turn your challenges into strengths. If you need to get a hold of me for whatever reason it may be, consultations, courses, or to ask me a question, you can click the link in the description below to my link tree. That's a one-stop shop that takes you to my website, social media, all the different things that you need to be able to follow my work and get a hold of me. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Remember, by creating more awareness, we create more opportunity to be the best versions of ourselves. I appreciate you guys' support, and I'll see you next time.